Salem isn't just famous for witches. Some spirits never left. I took the night shift at the Blackwell Hotel, thinking I was just trading insomnia for a paycheck. What I got were 3 rules. Don't talk to the child. Don't answer the knocking. Don't answer the knocking. Don't enter the room with a turned-down bed. Simple enough. Until the bed made itself. Until the knocking didn't stop. Until she found me. Welcome to Night Creepypasta Rules, where every old building has secrets, and some rules keep more than just guests in line. Hit subscribe and turn off the lights. You won't need them. Not after this story. The first time I heard a child's voice in the empty hallway of the Blackwell Hotel, I convinced myself it was exhaustion playing tricks on my mind. By the 3rd time I knew better. By then, it was already too late. I never wanted to work at the Blackwell. The imposing Victorian structure looms over Salem's historic district, like a widow in mourning. Its weathered brick facade and ornate spires casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets. Built in 1867 by shipping magnate Elias Blackwell, the hotel has survived fires, economic collapse, and the slow decay of time. What it couldn't escape was its reputation. It's just the night manager position, Mrs. Blackwell had said during my interview, her silver hair pulled into a tight bun that seemed to stretch her skin unnaturally across her sharp cheekbones. Simple duties, really. Check in late arrivals, handle any guest needs, maintain the logbook. The graveyard shift is quiet, most of the time. The way her lips twitched at those final words should have been my first warning. But I needed this job after losing everything in Boston. My apartment, my savings, and James. I had nowhere else to go. My psychology degree wasn't opening doors, and my bank account couldn't sustain another month of unemployment. When my cousin mentioned the opening at the Blackwell, I applied immediately. There are 3 important rules you must follow, Miss Chen, Mrs. Blackwell said, after sliding the employment contract across her mahogany desk. The office smelled of old books and something else. Something medicinal and bitter that clung to the back of my throat. Consider them non-negotiable conditions of your employment. She leaned forward, her eyes never blinking. Her eyes never blinking. First, if a child asks where their mother is, don't answer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Second, if you hear knocking from inside a vacant room, walk past. Do not investigate. And third, she paused, her bony finger tapping the contract. If the bed turns itself down in a room, do not enter, under any circumstances. I laughed nervously. Those are unusual workplace guidelines. Mrs. Blackwell didn't smile. This is an unusual workplace, Miss Chen. Do I have your agreement? I signed the contract. What choice did I have? The starting salary was generous, and the position included a small apartment on the top floor. After 6 months of couch surfing and shelter beds, it felt like salvation. That was 3 weeks ago. Tonight marks my first shift completely alone. Isaiah, the maintenance man who usually stays until midnight, called in sick. Vivian, the head housekeeper, left at 8 after preparing the rooms for tomorrow's arrivals. The hotel is only half occupied. 27 guests spread across 68 rooms. Most are here for the witch trial tours or the Maritime Museum. The night lobby of the Blackwell feels impossibly vast. Marble floors stretch beneath crystal chandeliers that cast weak pools of yellow light. The antique grandfather clock near the reception desk ticks with mechanical precision, each click reverberating through the silent space. The air smells faintly of furniture polish, and the lilies Mrs. Blackwell insists on keeping at the front desk. At 11:42 p.m. I'm organizing the mail slots when I hear it. The soft padding of bare feet on marble. Excuse me. The voice is small, childlike. I turn to find a little girl, perhaps 7 or 8, standing in the center of the lobby in a white nightgown. Her dark hair hangs in damp tendrils around her pale face. Can you tell me where my mother is? The first rule echoes in my mind immediately. Don't answer. But she's just a child, lost and confused in a strange hotel. What kind of monster would ignore a lost child? I'm sorry, sweetie, I say, moving around the desk. What's your mother's name? What room are you staying in? The girl's expression doesn't change. I want my mother. A chill races up my spine as I notice her nightgown is dripping water onto the marble floor. Not just damp, soaking wet, as if she just climbed from a bath or a swimming pool. Let me help you find her, I say, reaching for the guest registry. What's your name? The girl tilts her head at an uncomfortable angle. You weren't supposed to answer. Her voice has changed, deepening into something that sounds nothing like a child. Now she knows you're here. The lights in the lobby flicker once, twice. The grandfather clock stops ticking. When the lights stabilize, the girl is gone. Only a small puddle of water remains where she stood. I tell myself it's stress, lack of sleep, the power fluctuations in this old building playing tricks on my mind. But deep down, I know what I saw. I know what I saw, and I know I've just broken the first rule. The rest of the night passes in tense silence. I jump at every creak of the old building settling, every distant sound of plumbing through the walls. At 3:17 a.m., I find myself staring at the guest registry, searching for any families with young children. There are none. When dawn finally breaks, I'm still at the desk, clutching a cold cup of coffee. Vivian arrives at 6, her uniform pressed and perfect despite the early hour. Rough night? She asks, noticing my disheveled appearance. I hesitate. Did Mrs. Blackwell mention anything about a child staying here? Vivian's expression shifts subtly. No children checked in this week. She busies herself with the coffee machine. Why do you ask? No reason, I lie. Just thought I heard something last night. Vivian's movements pause for just a moment. The first rule got broken, didn't it? She doesn't look at me. Happens to everyone eventually. You'll learn. Before I can respond, she walks away, leaving me with a growing sense of unease. What exactly have I gotten myself into? As I climb the stairs to my small apartment on the top floor, exhaustion weighing my limbs, I can't shake the image of the little girl's face as it changed, or the words she spoke. Now she knows you're here. Sleep eludes me despite my exhaustion. My apartment, tucked under the eaves of the Blackwell's East Wing, is stifling in the afternoon heat. The ancient air conditioning unit rattles ineffectively as I toss and turn on sweat-dampened sheets. When I finally drift off, I dream of water. Dark, cold water filling my lungs as small hands pull me deeper. I wake, gasping, my alarm showing 6:30 p.m., 2 hours before my shift starts. My phone shows a missed call from an unknown number. The voicemail is just static and what sounds like distant crying. The hotel's Wi-Fi is spotty, but I managed to connect long enough to search Blackwell Hotel History Salem. The results are surprisingly sparse for such an old establishment. Just the basic facts about Elias Blackwell and the hotel's construction. Nothing about hauntings or accidents. I dig deeper, searching local news archives. There's a small article from 1973 about renovations, and another from 1988 mentioning the hotel's centennial celebration. Nothing unusual until I find a brief notice from 2012. Local woman missing, last seen at historic hotel. The article is frustratingly vague. Diana Mercer, 34, last seen checking into the Blackwell Hotel. No follow-up stories appear in my search. As I'm about to close my laptop, a chat message pops up from an account I don't recognize. Room 313. Look there. I freeze, staring at the message. When I try to reply, the account no longer exists. The hotel's third floor houses our most expensive rooms, including the infamous Room 313, the Elizabeth Montgomery Suite, named after the bewitched actress who supposedly stayed there during the show's Salem episode. It's been under renovation since before I started. Perpetually almost ready, according to Mrs. Blackwell. I arrive early for my shift and head straight to the third floor. The hallway is eerily silent, the plush burgundy carpet absorbing my footsteps. Room 313 sits at the end of the corridor, its brass numbers gleaming in the dim light. A renovation in progress sign hangs on the door handle. I press my ear against the wood and hear nothing. The master key feels heavy in my palm as I debate whether to look inside. Before I can decide, a voice behind me makes me jump. Curious about the Montgomery suite, Isaiah stands a few feet away, his maintenance uniform stained with what looks like rust. His dark eyes watch me carefully. Just checking on the renovation progress, I lie, slipping the key back into my pocket. Isaiah's weathered face remains impassive. No progress to check. That room stays closed. Why? What's wrong with it? He steps closer, and I catch the scent of copper and something else. Something chemical. Some spaces in this hotel aren't meant for guests or staff. His voice drops. You broke a rule last night. My heart pounds. How did you know? The hotel knows, and so does she. He glances at the door. Be more careful tonight, Mira. This place, it remembers things. Before I can ask what he means, the elevator at the end of the hall dings. Mrs. Blackwell steps out, her thin frame rigid with purpose. Mr. Dawson, Miss Chen, what brings you both to the third floor? Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Isaiah mumbles something about checking air vents and disappears down the service stairs. I was just familiarizing myself with the layout, I say. Admirable dedication. Mrs. Blackwell's gaze flicks to room 313. Though this floor rarely needs night management attention, our guests here value their privacy. As she leads me back toward the elevator, she adds, I've assigned you to complete the guest satisfaction surveys tonight. Should keep you at the front desk most of your shift. It's not a suggestion. The night begins quietly. I process 2 late check-ins. A businessman from Chicago and an older couple touring New England's historic sites. At midnight, the hotel settles into silence broken only by the grandfather clock's persistent ticking. At 1:17 a.m., the front desk phone rings. Front desk. How may I help you? I answer. Silence, then a soft sound like water dripping. Hello? Is anyone there? More silence, then a whisper. I'm still looking for my mother. I slam the receiver down, my hand trembling. The call came from room 313. A room that should be empty. I checked the hotel's internal system. Room 313 is indeed listed as vacant. Under renovation? Against my better judgment, I decide to investigate. If someone has bypassed security and entered the room, it's my responsibility to check. The third floor is darker than before. Several bulbs in the hallway fixtures now burned out. The air feels heavier, humid, with that same medicinal smell I noticed in Mrs. Blackwell's office. As I approach room 313, I hear it. A rhythmic knocking from inside the room. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Pause. The second rule echoes in my mind. If you hear knocking from inside a vacant room, walk past. I stand frozen, listening to the persistent knocking. It would be so easy to use my master key, to open the door and prove to myself there's a rational explanation. The knocking stops suddenly. In the silence that follows, I hear a woman's voice from inside the room. Please, help me. She has my daughter. My hand moves toward the keycard in my pocket. Don't even think about it. I spin around to find Vivian standing behind me, her usually perfect appearance disheveled. Her white blouse is buttoned incorrectly, and her eyes are wide with fear or anger. I can't tell which. You need to leave. Now. She grabs my arm, her fingers digging painfully into my flesh. Second rule exists for a reason. Someone's in there. I protest. They might need help. No one's in there. Vivian hisses, pulling me toward the stairwell. Nothing human, anyway. As we reach the stairs, I hear the door to room 313 creak open behind us. Vivian shoves me through the stairwell door before I can look back. In the harsh fluorescent light of the stairwell, Vivian finally releases my arm. You're making too many mistakes too quickly, she says. It took me months to break the first rule. You did it your first night. What is going on in this hotel? I demand. Who was that little girl? What's in room 313? Vivian looks over my shoulder as if ensuring we're alone. This hotel was built on blood money, she whispers. Elias Blackwell didn't just ship spices and textiles. He trafficked people. And when authorities got too close, he and his associates conducted a ritual in what's now room 313. They sacrificed a woman and her daughter to something they thought would protect them. That's insane, I say, though the chill spreading through me suggests otherwise. The woman was a practitioner from Haiti. Before she died, she cursed Blackwell in this place. Her spirit, or something wearing it, has been here ever since, looking for her daughter, and taking others in revenge. Vivian's voice cracks. Including my sister, 6 years ago. Room 313 was the last place she was seen. Before I can respond, the stairwell door flies open. Mrs. Blackwell stands there, her thin frame silhouetted against the hallway light. Miss Chen, I believe your post is at the front desk. Her voice is ice. And Vivian, I don't recall scheduling you for night duty. Vivian straightens, her face instantly composed. Just checking on the third floor amenities for tomorrow's VIP arrival, ma'am. How conscientious. Mrs. Blackwell's smile is a grimace. Both of you return to your assigned areas. Now, as I descend the stairs, the sound of harsh whispering follows me. I can't make out the words, but the tone is unmistakable. Vivian is being reprimanded. Back at the front desk, I pull up the employee records on the computer system. Vivian Mercer has worked at the Blackwell for 5 years. Her emergency contact is listed as Diana Mercer, the same name as the missing woman from the news article. A notification pops up on the screen. A new reservation for room 313. Scheduled for tomorrow night. The guest name, Mira Chen. I didn't make that reservation. The grandfather clock strikes 3, the sound echoing through the empty lobby. As the final toll fades, the lights flicker, and I feel a cold draft sweep across my skin. On the security monitor, I watch as the door to room 313 swings slowly open. No one enters, no one leaves, but on the bed, the covers turn themselves down, as if inviting someone to sleep. Morning brings no relief from the night's revelations. I drag myself to the hotel's small cafe, desperate for caffeine and normalcy. The day manager, Peter, nods as I pass, his eyes lingering on the dark circles under mine. Rough night? Rough night? He asks, not unkindly. You could say that. I hesitate. Peter, how long have you worked here? Going on 15 years. He organizes checkout folios with practiced efficiency. Have you ever noticed anything strange about the hotel, especially room 313? His hands still momentarily. We don't discuss that room. His voice lowers, not if we want to keep our jobs or our sanity. Before I can press further, the front doors swing open, admitting a man in his 40s wearing a rumpled suit and carrying a worn leather briefcase. He approaches the desk with purpose. Detective Harlan Reed, Salem PD. He flashes a badge. I need to speak with your manager. Peter straightens. Mrs. Blackwell isn't in yet. Perhaps I can help. I'm investigating a missing persons case. Reed's eyes scan the lobby, taking in every detail. Young woman named Eliza Winters. Her phone's last ping was from this location 3 nights ago. My skin prickles. 3 nights ago. My first night on duty. We haven't had any reports of missing guests, Peter says smoothly. She wasn't a guest. Reed places a photo on the counter. A young woman with auburn hair and a hesitant smile. She was applying for a job. Night manager position. The position I now hold. Peter's professional demeanor doesn't waver. I'll have Mrs. Blackwell contact you when she arrives. Reed takes back the photo but leaves a card. His eyes meet mine. You look like you've seen a ghost. Just tired, I mumble. Night shift. Ah, so you're the new night manager. His interest sharpens. Mind if I ask you a few questions? Peter intervenes. Detective, our staff are not authorized to. It's fine, I interrupt. I have time before I need to sleep. We sit in the cafe corner. Reed orders black coffee and studies me over the rim of his cup. How long you worked here, Miss Chen? Mira Chen. Just 3 weeks. And before that, I shift uncomfortably. Boston. I worked at a university counseling center while finishing my psychology degree. What brought you to Salem? The question is innocent enough, but I'm reluctant to share my full history. Needed a change. My cousin mentioned the job opening. Reed nods, jotting something in a small notebook. Have you noticed anything unusual during your shifts? Any unexpected visitors? Staff behaving strangely? I think about the little girl, the knocking. Vivian's story about room 313. Something tells me to be cautious. Nothing specific, I lie. It's an old building. Makes strange noises sometimes. Reed studies me for a long moment. Miss Chen, this is the third job applicant to disappear after interviewing at the Blackwell in the past decade. All women, all applying for the same position you now hold. My coffee turns bitter in my mouth. What happened to them? That's what I'm trying to determine. He leans forward. The hotel's security cameras conveniently malfunction on the nights these women vanish. No bodies, no evidence. Just women who walk into this hotel and never walk out. A cold weight settles in my stomach. Why are you telling me this? Because you might be in danger. He slides a business card across the table. If you notice anything strange, anything at all, call me. Day or night. Call me. Day or night. As he stands to leave, he adds quietly, and Miss Chen, I'd recommend finding another job. Soon, I watch him exit through the front doors, his warning hanging in the air. When I turn back, Mrs. Blackwell is standing by the cafe entrance, her eyes fixed on me with cold calculation. Making friends with the local authorities, Miss Chen. He was asking about a missing person, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. Detective Reed has an unhealthy obsession with this hotel. She sits across from me, occupying the chair Reed just vacated. His theories lack evidence and credibility. He mentioned other women who disappeared after applying for my position. Mrs. Blackwell's smile doesn't reach her eyes. People disappear all the time, Miss Chen. They run from debts, abusive relationships, failed careers. The detective assumes malice where there is merely coincidence. She reaches across the table and places her cold hand over mine. I hope you're not letting these ghost stories affect your work performance. We have high standards at the Blackwell. The threat is thinly veiled. Of course not, I assure her, though I did notice something strange in the reservation system. Someone booked room 313 in my name. Her expression doesn't change, but her fingers tighten painfully around mine. A computer glitch, nothing more. That room remains under renovation. She stands abruptly. Get some rest, Miss Chen. I expect you alert and focused tonight. As she walks away, her parting words chill me. And do remember the rules. All of them. In my apartment, I try to sleep, but can't stop thinking about Eliza Winters and the other missing women. I pull out Reed's card and consider calling him, telling him everything I've experienced. Instead, I search online for more information about the Blackwell's history. Most sources repeat the same sanitized story about Elias Blackwell's shipping fortune, but buried in a local historical society's digital archives, I find something different. A newspaper clipping from 1868, reporting the mysterious death of Marie Baptiste, a foreign woman of unusual talents found drowned in a bathtub at the newly opened hotel. Her young daughter, Celeste, was reported missing. The article mentions rumors that Baptiste was involved in unnatural practices and had been employed briefly by Blackwell himself before her death was ruled a suicide with a missing child. I search for more information on Marie Baptiste and find a scholarly article discussing the influx of Haitian immigrants to Massachusetts in the 1860s, following political unrest. Many, like Baptiste, were practitioners of Vodou who found work as spiritual advisors or domestic servants in wealthy households. The pieces start connecting. A Haitian practitioner, a ritual, a drowned woman, a missing child, and now, a little girl in a wet nightgown asking for her mother. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Check the basement archives. V. Vivian. I force myself to sleep for a few hours. Then wake as sunset paints my small window orange. Tonight, I need to find the basement archives and discover what Vivian wants me to see. As I dress for my shift, I notice water seeping under my bathroom door. But when I fling it open, the room is completely dry. The night begins with unusual activity. A tour group checks in late. 20 people from a paranormal investigation society who booked the entire second floor for their Salem weekend. They're excited, equipped with EMF readers and thermal cameras, ready to hunt for the ghosts they have no idea truly exist. Their leader, a pompous man named Gordon, corners me at the desk. This hotel's not in any of the standard haunted Salem guidebooks, but my sources say it's got quite the dark history. He leans in conspiratorially. Any particular rooms we should focus on? The hotel doesn't promote ghost stories, I say diplomatically. Come on. He presses. Every old hotel has at least one good ghost. You must have heard something. I think about the little girl, about room 313, about the women who disappeared. Try the third floor, I say finally. Room 313 has an interesting history. Gordon's eyes light up. Excellent. We'll add it to tonight's investigation route. I immediately regret my words. That room's under renovation. Off limits. Even better, he grins. Disturbed spaces often increase activity. After settling the group, I check the time. 11:30 p.m. The basement archives will have to wait until the hotel quiets down. At midnight, Isaiah appears at the desk, surprising me. Isaiah appears at the desk. He's not scheduled tonight. Heard we have ghost hunters, he says, his expression grim. Bad idea. I tried to steer them away from room 313, I admit. He shakes his head. Won't matter. They're looking for her now, which means she's looking back. He places something on the desk, a small cloth pouch that smells of herbs and spices. Keep this with you tonight. What is it? Protection. He turns to leave, then pauses. Whatever happens, stay away from the third floor tonight. And if you hear water running, run the other way. By 1 a.m., the ghost hunters have spread throughout the hotel, their excited voices occasionally echoing through the halls. I use the distraction to slip away from the desk and head for the basement. The service elevator groans as it descends below the lobby level. The basement is a maze of storage rooms, laundry facilities, and mechanical spaces. According to the hotel layout map, the archive should be in the northeast corner. The hallway grows narrower as I proceed, the ceiling lower, the air damper. Water stains mark the concrete walls, and exposed pipes hiss overhead. The single bulbs illuminating the corridor flicker erratically, casting jumping shadows. I find the archive room door, heavy oak with a brass plaque reading historical records. Authorized personnel only. It's locked, but my master key works. The room beyond is surprisingly large, lined with metal shelving units filled with boxes, ledgers, and file cabinets. The air smells of mildew and old paper. I'm not sure what I'm looking for until I spot a cardboard box labeled Room, Incidents 1950-2020 on a bottom shelf. Inside are manila folders organized by room number. The folder for room 313 is thicker than the others. I open it to find incident reports dating back decades. Guest complaints about cold spots, strange noises, plumbing issues. More disturbing are the staff reports. Housekeepers refusing to clean the room alone. Maintenance workers reporting tools missing or moved. In 1973, a guest was found unconscious in the bathtub, nearly drowned though she had no memory of running the water. In 1988, a housekeeper reported seeing a child hiding under the bed, but no children were registered as guests. The most recent report is from 2017, a detailed maintenance log for renovations that were apparently never completed. The final entry simply states, "Project suspended indefinitely by order of management." Clipped to the back of the folder, is a sealed envelope marked confidential. BB only. BB Barbara Blackwell, the current owner and direct descendant of Elias. I shouldn't open it, but I do. Inside is a single photograph, sepia toned, showing room 313, as it might have looked in the 1860s. A four-poster bed dominates the space, and beside it stands a copper bathtub. Standing near the bathtub is a woman in Victorian dress, her features blurred in the old photograph, except for her eyes, which seem to stare directly at the camera with unsettling clarity. Beside her is a small girl in a white nightgown. Written on the back, in faded ink, M. Baptiste and Child. Final consultation, May 17, 1868. Final consultation. 3 days before Marie Baptiste was found drowned. A noise behind me. The squeak of a door hinge makes me spin around. No one is there, but the archive room door now stands open. From somewhere in the basement, I hear the unmistakable sound of water running, and then, echoing through the concrete hallway, a child's voice calls, "I found you." The archive room door slams shut before I can reach it, the lock engaging with a definitive click. My master key no longer works. I'm trapped. The sound of running water grows louder, seemingly coming from all directions. The temperature drops rapidly. My breath forms visible clouds in the suddenly frigid air. "I found you," the child's voice repeats, closer now. "Will you help me find my mother?" Water begins seeping under the door, spreading across the concrete floor with unnatural speed. It doesn't behave like normal water. It moves with purpose, surrounding me in an expanding circle. I scramble onto a metal shelf as the water rises, inch by inch. The light bulb overhead flickers violently, then stabilizes at half its normal brightness. The water stops rising at ankle depth. But in its dark surface, I see a reflection that isn't mine. A small face with hollow eyes staring up. "You answered me," the voice says, no longer sounding childlike. "Now you must help. What do you want?" My voice shakes. "Justice." The water ripples. "She took me from my mother." The woman with the cold hands. "Her family still takes, still separates, still sacrifices. Mrs. Blackwell. Her family. I don't understand," I say. Though pieces are beginning to connect. Oh, pieces are beginning to connect. The water recedes suddenly, flowing back under the door as if pulled by an invisible force. The temperature normalizes, and the light brightens. From the other side of the door comes a new sound. A key turning in the lock. The door swings open to reveal Detective Reed. Surprise evident on his face. "Miss Chen, what are you doing down here?" Relief floods through me. "How did you find me?" Security guard mentions seeing you head downstairs. He surveys the room, noting the open files, finding anything interesting in the hotel archives at 2 a.m. I consider telling him everything. The little girl, the rules, room 313. But something in his expression makes me hesitate. He found me too easily, appeared too conveniently. "Just researching the hotel's history," I say carefully. "I got locked in accidentally." Reed's eyes narrow slightly. "Quite the dedicated employee." He gestures to the folder in my hands. "Mind if I take a look?" I close the folder protectively. "Hotel confidential records. I'd need Mrs. Blackwell's permission." A flash of irritation crosses his face. Of course, he steps aside to let me pass. "I'll walk you back upstairs." As we navigate the basement hallway, I notice Reed studying the layout, memorizing details. He's too comfortable here, too familiar with the hotel's lower levels. "What brought you back to the hotel tonight, Detective?" I ask casually, following up on the Winters case. "Thought I might catch the night staff, see if anyone remembered anything." He glances at me. "Lucky timing finding you like that." Lucky indeed. Or deliberate. When we reach the lobby, the ghost hunting group is gathered in excited clusters, comparing readings and recordings. Their leader, Gordon, rushes over when he sees me. "You'll never believe what we captured on the 3rd floor," he exclaims. thrusting a digital recorder toward me. E-bibs, cold spots, and one of our sensitives nearly passed out outside room 313. Reed's attention sharpens. Room 313? It's under renovation, I interject quickly. Off limits to guests. The door was unlocked, Gordon says. We didn't enter. But Kelly, our medium, she said she could sense a child and a woman. Something about water and betrayal. Reed pulls out his notebook. I'd like to hear more about this room 313. I excuse myself, claiming front desk duties. As I walk away, I hear Gordon eagerly sharing details with Reed. Details that align too closely with what I've experienced. Back at the desk, I check the time. 2:47 a.m. The hotel has fallen into an uneasy quiet. The ghost hunters have returned to their rooms and Reed has disappeared, presumably to continue his investigation elsewhere. I open the room 313 folder again, examining the photograph more carefully. Something about Marie Baptiste's blurred face bothers me. The way only her eyes are in sharp focus, as if she alone among the subjects was moving when the picture was taken. Tucked behind the photo, I find a small slip of paper I missed before. It contains a series of numbers, 729 to 416. A combination? A date? I'm puzzling over it when Isaiah appears silently beside me, making me jump. You went to the archives, he says. Not a question. Vivian told me to. He nods grimly. Did you find what she wanted you to see? I'm not sure. I show him the numbers. Isaiah's expression darkens. The journal combination. He glances around to ensure we're alone. Mrs. Blackwell's great-grandmother kept records of everything, including what really happened to Marie Baptiste and her daughter. Where's this journal? In Mrs. Blackwell's office. Locked in the wall safe behind her portrait of Elias. He hands me a key. This opens her office, but you didn't get it from me. Why are you helping me? I ask. Isaiah's weathered face shows decades of burden. I've watched too many women disappear in this hotel. My own daughter among them, 20 years ago. She was a maid here. Found drowned in the third-floor bathroom. His voice catches. The Blackwells claimed suicide. But I know better. Isaiah continues, his voice barely above a whisper. My daughter could swim like a fish, and she was afraid of that room 313. She always heard a little girl crying inside. The weight of his revelation hangs between us. 20 years of grief and suspicion, all focused on this hotel and the Blackwell family. I'm sorry about your daughter, I say, inadequately. Isaiah straightens. Don't be sorry. Be smart. And be quick. Mrs. Blackwell always returns before dawn to check the night logs. You have less than an hour. He melts away into the shadows of the lobby, leaving me with a key and a terrible decision. Breaking into my employer's office could cost me my job. Or worse, if the Blackwells truly are behind these disappearances. But the alternative is remaining ignorant while possibly becoming the next victim. The grandfather clock strikes 3. Decision made. Mrs. Blackwell's office is located in the East Wing, away from guest areas. The hallway leading to it is lined with portraits. Generations of Blackwells, their stern faces watching my approach with painted disapproval. The office door unlocks smoothly with Isaiah's key. Inside, the space is meticulously organized. A mahogany desk, leather chairs, and walls lined with bookshelves. Behind the desk hangs an imposing portrait of Elias Blackwell, his severe expression enhanced by a waxed mustache and cold eyes that seem to follow me. I carefully lift the heavy frame, revealing a small wall safe with a combination dial. The numbers from the archive, 729-416, work perfectly. The safe door swings open. Inside lies a leather-bound journal, its cover cracked with age. Beside it sits a small wooden box and a bundle of yellowed letters tied with black ribbon. I take the journal first. The pages are brittle, covered in elegant handwriting. The personal records of Eliza Blackwell, wife of Elias and the first mistress of the hotel. Most entries detail mundane matters of running a prestigious establishment, But entries from spring 1868 tell a different story. April 3, 1868. E has engaged the services of a Haitian woman said to possess remarkable spiritual gifts. He believes her rituals will ensure the success of both his shipping ventures and the hotel. I find her presence unsettling, especially the child who never speaks but watches everything with those knowing eyes. April 17, 1868. The Baptist woman has been installed in room 313. EE insists on complete privacy for their consultations. The hotel staff whisper about strange sounds, chanting in foreign tongues. I fear E has involved himself in matters beyond Christian understanding. May 15, 1868. Disaster looms. Baptist discovered E's true business, not just shipping goods but people. She threatened exposure. E and his associates are frantic. They speak of a final ritual that will bind her power to the hotel, ensuring eternal prosperity through sacrifice. God forgive us all. May 20th, 1868. It is done. The Baptist woman resisted strongly, but in the end, water claimed her as planned. The child was necessary too. A pure vessel, they said. I watched them take her to the sub-basement chamber. Her screams will haunt me until my dying day. E says the ritual was successful. The hotel is now protected by powers that will ensure the Blackwell legacy forever. But at what cost to our souls? May 25th, 1868. The nightmares have begun. I see the Baptist woman in every mirror. Hear the child crying in empty rooms. E has established rules to manage what he calls manifestations. No one must speak to the child. No one must acknowledge the knocking. No one must enter when the bed turns itself down. He says these boundaries keep us safe from her vengeance. June 10, 1868. First disappearance today. A maid who broke the rules. Found her clothes in room 313, soaking wet. No body. He says it is the price of protection. The entities require occasional tribute. How many more will feed this unholy arrangement? My hands shake as I turn to the final pages. Written in a different hand. More modern, but with the same elegant slant. October 12, 1972. Grandmother's journal confirms what father always said. The hotel's prosperity requires maintenance of the covenant. The Baptist entities must be appeased through the rules and occasional sacrifice. As the new keeper of the Blackwell legacy, I will ensure the tradition continues. The detective investigating the latest disappearance has been dealt with. His replacement understands our arrangement with the local authorities. The final entry, dated just 5 years ago, chills me to the bone. November 3, 2018. The cycle weakens. More sacrifices are needed to maintain the barrier between our world and hers. The night manager position serves us well. Desperate women, often alone with few connections. They come willingly to the altar. Room 313. Renovations provide the perfect cover for the necessary ritual space. Detective Reed continues to be a useful asset in managing investigations and selecting appropriate candidates. Detective Reed, a useful asset. The betrayal hits me like physical pain. I trusted him, believed he was investigating the disappearances, when all along he's been helping select victims. I quickly photograph key pages with my phone, then return the journal to the safe. The wooden box calls to me, and I open it to find a collection of personal effects. A locket containing dark hair, a child's small shoe, a tarnished badge that reads Salem Police Department, 1972. Trophies from victims. The sound of a key in the office door gives me barely enough time to close the safe and replace the portrait. I dive behind a bookcase as Mrs. Blackwell enters, accompanied by Detective Reed. The ghost hunters have complicated things, Mrs. Blackwell says, irritation clear in her voice. Too much attention on room 313. I've convinced them their evidence is contaminated by the renovation equipment, Reed replies. They'll focus elsewhere tomorrow. And the new night manager? Chen. Reed sighs. Problematic. Too curious. Found her in the archives tonight. Mrs. Blackwell's laugh is cold. Perfect. Curiosity makes them predictable. Is she suitable? Isolated. Few connections. Psychology background might make the transition smoother. Reed's clinical assessment of me as a potential victim makes my skin crawl. The anniversary date is approaching. Baptiste will demand her tribute. Then we proceed as planned. Mrs. Blackwell moves to her desk uncomfortably close to my hiding place. The third rule will be broken tomorrow night. Ensure Chen is alone when it happens. They continue discussing logistics. How to disable security cameras, which staff to send home early. The preparation of room 313 for what they call the transition. My mind races, planning my escape from both this office and the hotel itself. When they finally leave, I wait several agonizing minutes before slipping out. The lobby is empty when I return, the grandfather clock showing 4:17 a.m. I need to find Vivian. She's been trying to warn me to expose the truth about her sister's disappearance. But as I reach for the house phone to call her room, the front doors open. The morning shift arrives early. Peter, the day manager, accompanied by 2 security guards I don't recognize. Mira, Peter says, his tone oddly formal. Mrs. Blackwell would like to see you before you end your shift. The security guards position themselves between me and the exit. Actually, I'm not feeling well, I say, gathering my belongings. I think I should go home and rest. Peter's smile doesn't reach his eyes. I'm afraid Mrs. Blackwell insists. She's waiting in room 313. She'd like to show you the completed renovations. Room 313. The third rule. If the bed turns itself down, do not enter. I'll go up in a few minutes, I stall. I need to complete the night log first. The logs can wait, Peter says, his friendly facade dropping completely. The security team will escort you. As the guards move toward me, the lobby lights flicker wildly. The temperature plummets so rapidly that frost forms on the marble floor. From the grand staircase comes the distinct sound of water, a torrent of it, rushing down the steps. The little girl appears at the top of the stairs, her wet nightgown dripping onto the steps. But she's not alone. Behind her stands a woman in Victorian dress, her dark eyes burning with otherworldly intensity. Marie Baptiste has joined her daughter. She comes, the child says, her voice echoing unnaturally. Mother comes for justice. The security guards freeze in terror as water cascades down the stairs, flooding the lobby floor. Peter backs away, his face pale with recognition and fear. Run, a voice whispers in my ear. Vivian suddenly beside me. The basement, the old service tunnel. Now, as chaos erupts in the lobby, alarms blaring, guests emerging from their rooms in confusion, Vivian pulls me toward the service elevator. Behind us, I hear screams as the water rises with impossible speed. They've broken their own covenant. Vivian explains as we descend. Using the hotel to sacrifice innocence was bad enough. But they've been keeping Celeste, the daughter, trapped here to control her mother's spirit. Tonight, the binding breaks. The elevator stops at the basement. Water already seeps under the doors. What about Isaiah? I ask as we splash through the darkened corridor. He's creating a diversion upstairs. He's waited 20 years for this night. Vivian leads me past the archives to a section of wall that looks solid, but swings open at her touch. This tunnel was part of the Underground Railroad before the hotel was built. It leads to the harbor. As we enter the narrow passage, the hotel's emergency generators fail, plunging us into darkness. Vivian's flashlight provides our only illumination as we navigate the damp, cramped tunnel. The Blackwells have maintained their power through sacrifice for over 150 years. Vivian explains as we hurry forward. Every decade or so, they need fresh blood to renew their covenant with whatever dark force they worship. My sister Diana was one victim. Isaiah's daughter another. And I was next, I realize. You were perfect, alone, new to town, desperate for work. Vivian's voice breaks, just like my sister. The tunnel seems endless, the air growing thicker with moisture and the distant sound of rushing water. I check my phone. No signal, and the time reads 4:33 a.m. Almost dawn, Vivian says. If we can make it out before. The tunnel shudders violently, dirt and stones raining down from the ceiling. Behind us, the sound of collapsing masonry echoes through the passage. They're destroying the evidence. Vivian gasps. The whole hotel might be coming down. We run now, stumbling through the increasingly unstable tunnel until finally, mercifully, we see a faint glow ahead. The exit. The tunnel opens into a small boathouse on the harbor's edge, long abandoned, but still standing. As we burst through the rotting door into the pre-dawn air, the ground trembles beneath our feet. From this vantage point, we can see the Blackwell Hotel silhouetted against the lightning sky, and the impossible torrent of water pouring from every window, as if the entire structure were filling from within. Marie Baptiste is reclaiming her daughter, Vivian whispers, and taking her revenge. As we watch in horrified fascination, police and fire vehicles converge on the scene, their lights flashing ineffectively against the supernatural disaster unfolding before them. My phone buzzes with an incoming call. Detective Reed, where are you? He demands when I answer. The ritual must be completed. The sacrifice is not happening, I interrupt. I know everything, Reed. About the Blackwells, about Marie Baptiste, about your role in selecting victims. His voice turns desperate. You don't understand. If the covenant breaks, if she takes back her daughter, there's no controlling what follows. The hotel was built to contain them, to channel their power. Without the sacrifice, his words cut off abruptly. In the background, I hear screaming, then the unmistakable sound of rushing water. Reed. Despite everything, I can't help but feel horror at what might be happening to him. Only silence answers. Then a child's voice comes through the phone. Justice comes. Mother found me. Now we find them all. The call ends. Vivian and I stand in stunned silence as emergency vehicles continue to arrive at the hotel. In the growing light, we can see guests and staff being evacuated, but not everyone will make it out. What happens now? I ask, my voice small against the enormity of what we're witnessing. Vivian takes my hand, her grip firm and reassuring. We survive. We tell the truth. We make sure no one forgets what happened here. As the first rays of sunrise touch the harbor waters, the Blackwell Hotel gives one final, shuddering groan, and the entire East Wing, including room 313, collapses inward upon itself. The night manager position at the Blackwell Hotel has claimed its final victim. The collapse of the Blackwell Hotel's East Wing dominates local and national news for days. Official reports cite structural failure due to previously undetected water damage, a plausible explanation for those who don't know the truth. 17 people died that night, including Mrs. Blackwell, Detective Reed, and Peter, the day manager. The ghost hunting group, ironically, survived intact. Their second-floor rooms were evacuated before the worst of the collapse. Vivian and I are questioned extensively by authorities. We tell a version of the truth, that we discovered evidence of long-term criminal activity at the hotel and fled through an old tunnel when confronted. We mention Reed's corruption, but omit the supernatural elements of our experience. Who would believe us anyway? The investigation uncovers disturbing evidence in the hotel ruins. Beneath room 313, workers discover a hidden chamber containing human remains. Some recent, others dating back decades, possibly centuries. Among them are bone fragments from a small child, estimated to be over 150 years old. Isaiah disappeared that night. Whether he escaped or became another victim of the collapse remains unknown. I hope he found the peace he sought for 20 years. 3 days after the disaster, I returned to the harbor to view the hotel from a distance. The surviving structure stands cordoned off, a partial ruin that will likely be demolished completely. Workers in hazmat suits continue to pump water from the lower levels, an impossible amount of water, according to puzzled city engineers. As I watch from the harbor's edge, a small figure approaches along the waterfront. A girl of about 8, wearing a yellow sundress. For a moment my heart stops, fearing its Celeste Baptiste return. But this child is solid, normal, alive. A tourist with her family nearby. "Are you looking at the haunted hotel?" she asks innocently. "Yes," I answer carefully. "Did you hear it was haunted?" She nods solemnly. "My dad says a ghost lady made it fall down because bad people hurt her little girl there a long time ago." She looks up at me with clear eyes. "Is that true?" Before I can answer, a woman calls out, the girl's mother, waving from a few yards away. "That's my mom," the girl says, turning to go. Then she pauses, looking back at me with an expression suddenly too wise for her years. The lady got her daughter back. They're together now. That's good, right? Right? She runs to her waiting mother, who embraces her warmly. I watch them walk away hand in hand, an ordinary family untouched by the horrors I've witnessed. My phone buzzes with a text from Vivian. "Meeting with publisher tomorrow. They want the whole story. We've decided to document everything. The Blackwell family's dark history, Marie Baptiste's curse, the decades of disappearances. The truth deserves to be told, even if some details must be presented as speculation rather than supernatural fact." As twilight descends over Salem Harbor, I take one last look at the ruined hotel. In an upper window of the surviving West Wing, a light flickers on, then off again. 3 times. Some rules, I've learned, exist for a reason. I turn away from the water and walk toward the busy streets of modern Salem, leaving the Blackwell and its ghosts behind. But as I reach the main road, I notice something that makes me freeze. A small puddle on the otherwise dry sidewalk, a puddle shaped like a child's footprint. And somewhere in the distance I hear knocking. 3 knocks, pause. 3 knocks, pause. Some rules can never truly be broken, and some spirits never truly rest. 1 month after the Blackwell Hotel disaster, Salem has returned to its normal rhythms. Tourists still flock to witch trial sites and occult shops, largely unaware that the city's most genuinely haunted location now sits abandoned behind chain link fencing and warning signs. I've taken a small apartment near the harbor, using my savings to stay afloat while helping Vivian compile research for our book. The working title, The Blackwell Covenant, a century of disappearances. Our investigation has uncovered patterns we never imagined. The Blackwell family's influence extended beyond Salem. Similar hotels in Newport, Charleston, and New Orleans, all built in the late 1800s, all with unusually high rates of missing persons cases, all managed by Blackwell descendants or associates. Today, I'm meeting with a former hotel employee who worked at the Blackwell in the 1990s. The coffee shop is crowded with afternoon customers, providing anonymity and background noise. Margaret Winters is in her 70s now, her hand slightly trembling as she stirs her tea. Her resemblance to the photo of Eliza Winters, the missing job applicant, is unmistakable. "She was my granddaughter," Margaret confirms, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. "When she disappeared, the police said she probably left town voluntarily. Detective Reed told me to stop asking questions." "I'm so sorry," I say, meaning it. "We believe Reed was involved in what happened at the Blackwell." Margaret nods grimly. "I worked there for 17 years as head of housekeeping. I knew something wasn't right about room 303rd. We all did, but the pay was good. And Mrs. Blackwell, the previous one, Barbara's mother, she had ways of ensuring silence." "Did you ever break any of the rules?" I ask. A shadow crosses Margaret's face. "Once, in 1994, A child asked me where her mother was. She looked so lost, so afraid. I couldn't ignore her. She sips her tea. That night, my bathroom flooded inexplicably. I found my cat drowned in the sink, which had been bone dry when I left for work. I shudder, remembering the water seeping under my bathroom door. After that, I followed the rules, Margaret continues. But I kept records. Names, dates, patterns. She slides a thin notebook across the table. This might help with your book. The notebook contains decades of observations. Staff who disappeared. Guests who reported strange experiences. Maintenance issues in room 313. Margaret had meticulously documented the hotel's dark patterns without understanding their full significance. There's something else you should know, Margaret says, leaning closer. The Blackwells weren't alone in this. Other families, other businesses in Salem, they benefited from the Covenant too, contributed to it. What do you mean? Think about it. Salem has an unusually high rate of successful businesses for a town its size. Certain families have maintained wealth and influence for generations, despite economic downturns that should have ruined them. Her eyes hold mine. The Blackwell Covenant protected more than just the hotel. It was like a dark investment fund. Contribute to the sacrifices, share in the prosperity. The implications are staggering. If true, the Blackwell collapse might have disrupted supernatural arrangements benefiting half the town's elite. Is there proof? I ask. Look into the Salem Business Association records from the 1860s onward. The founding members all had connections to Elias Blackwell. And check property records. Certain buildings in town have unusual protection covenants written into their deeds. Language about maintaining ancestral obligations and honoring the original arrangement. As we conclude our meeting, Margaret grips my arm with surprising strength. Be careful, Miss Chen. Barbara Blackwell may be gone, but others who benefited from the Covenant remain. They won't want this story told. Her warning proves prophetic. That evening, I return to my apartment to find the door slightly ajar. Nothing appears disturbed. But on my desk sits a small object that wasn't there before. A child's shoe, ancient and water damaged. A warning, or a message. I call Vivian immediately. She arrives 30 minutes later, visibly shaken. Someone broke into my place too, she says. They left this. She shows me a photograph. A modern color print showing Vivian asleep in her bed, taken recently and without her knowledge. On the back, written in elegant script. Some rules still apply. We spend the night in a motel outside town, planning our next move. The message is clear. Someone wants us to stop investigating, to abandon our book project. Someone connected to the Blackwell Covenant who survived the hotel's destruction. We need protection, Vivian says as dawn breaks. Not just locks and security systems. The kind of protection Marie Baptiste might have used. She makes some calls and arranges a meeting with a woman named Desiree, a practitioner of Haitian voodoo living in Boston's Mattapan neighborhood. Desiree's small apartment is filled with plants, religious icons, and the scent of herbs. You disturbed old magic, Desiree says after hearing our story. Dangerous magic, the kind that requires blood. We didn't mean to, I say. Intention matters little to spirits. Desiree examines the child's shoe left in my apartment. This belonged to the Baptiste girl. A powerful object. Not a threat, a request for help. Help with what? Vivian asks, finishing what began at the hotel. Desiree places the shoe on a small altar. The mother found her daughter, yes, but justice remains incomplete, while those who benefited from their suffering continue to prosper. She prepares protective charms for us. Small pouches similar to what Isaiah gave me, containing herbs, bones, and other ingredients I choose not to identify. As she works, she explains that the Baptist spirits likely see us as allies, not targets. They guided you to the truth, protected you during the collapse. Now they ask for your help exposing all who participated in the Covenant. How do we do that? I ask. Complete your book. Name names. Break the silence. Desiree tease off my charm with red thread. But understand, those you expose will fight back with everything they have. Both natural and supernatural means, armed with our protective charms and renewed determination. We return to Salem to continue our investigation. The next weeks bring disturbing discoveries. 7 prominent Salem families have maintained wealth and influence since the 1860s, all with connections to Elias Blackwell's original business circle. Each family has experienced at least one drowning death under mysterious circumstances, the price of protection when covenant obligations weren't met. Property records show unusual language in the deeds of buildings owned by these families, including cryptic references to maintaining the waters and honoring the original compact. Most damning is what we find in the sealed records of a 1972 investigation. The same year mentioned in the Blackwell Journal, a detective named James Morrison had connected several disappearances to the Blackwell Hotel and was preparing to request search warrants when he died suddenly, an apparent suicide by drowning in his bathtub. His replacement on the force? A young officer named Harlan Reed. As we compile our evidence, strange occurrences become commonplace. Faucets turn on by themselves. Puddles form in impossible places. The sound of a child's laughter echoes through empty rooms. But these manifestations no longer feel threatening. They feel like encouragement. 6 weeks into our investigation, I wake at 3:33 a.m. to find my apartment filled with the sound of running water. Though all taps are closed, all taps are closed. On my bathroom mirror, written in condensation, Mayor Sullivan knows. The current mayor of Salem, William Sullivan, comes from one of the 7 families we've identified. His great-grandfather was a founding member of the Salem Business Association, alongside Elias Blackwell. The next day, Vivian and I receive identical certified letters from a prestigious Boston law firm, threatening legal action if we proceed with publication of any material defaming the character of several named individuals, including Mayor Sullivan. They're scared, Vivian says, tossing the letter aside. We must be getting close. That night, I dream of room 313. In the dream, I stand before the door as water seeps beneath it. But, unlike my previous nightmares, I'm not afraid. I open the door willingly. Inside, Marie Baptiste sits beside the copper bathtub, her daughter Celeste in her lap. They look peaceful, restored, whole. Finish it, Marie says, her voice like distant thunder. So we can rest. I wake with absolute clarity about what we must do next. The Salem Town Hall meeting room is packed beyond capacity. Local media line the walls, cameras ready. What began as a routine budget discussion has become something else entirely, thanks to the documents Vivian and I anonymously distributed to every news outlet in New England 3 days ago. Mayor Sullivan appears outwardly calm as he calls the meeting to order, though the tension in his jaw betrays his anxiety. He knows what's coming. The public comment period begins. I'm the third speaker. My name is Mira Chen. Until recently, I was the night manager at the Blackwell Hotel. A murmur runs through the crowd. The hotel collapse remains a sensitive topic. I'm here to address not just the structural failure that claimed 17 lives, but the century and a half of disappearances, deaths, and corruption that preceded it. Sullivan interrupts Miss Chen. This meeting is for discussing city business, not rehashing tabloid theories about a tragic accident. This is city business, I counter, my voice steady. When the city's leadership has benefited from a covenant built on human sacrifice, the room erupts. Sullivan pounds his gavel as reporters shout questions. I stand firm, waiting for order to be restored. In 1868, Elias Blackwell and 7 prominent Salem businessmen. including Mayor Sullivan's great-grandfather, conducted a ritual sacrifice of a woman named Marie Baptiste and her daughter Celeste. I continue when the noise subsides. This sacrifice was intended to ensure their business prosperity through supernatural means. This is absurd, Sullivan sputters. You have no evidence. We have the journal of Eliza Blackwell detailing the original ritual. Vivian interjects, rising from her seat. We have property records showing unusual covenant language. We have a pattern of disappearances spanning 150 years. And as of this morning, we have this. She signals to a colleague at the back of the room, who distributes copies of a newly discovered document. A founding agreement for the Salem Business Association dated 1869. The final clause, written in archaic legal language, commits all signatories to maintaining the spiritual compact established for mutual prosperity and providing necessary tributes as circumstances require. The tributes were people, I explained to the stunned audience. Women who disappeared, job applicants, hotel staff, occasionally guests. I was intended to be the latest sacrifice before the hotel collapsed. Mayor Sullivan's face has gone ashen. Other town council members, representatives of the original 7 families, shift uncomfortably in their seats. The Blackwell Hotel is gone, I continue, but the families who benefited from its dark covenant remain in positions of power throughout Salem. They've known about these sacrifices. They've protected those responsible. Some have actively participated. An elderly man rises shakily from his seat. Walter Pierce, owner of Salem's largest real estate company and descendant of another original covenant signer. Enough, he says, his voice quavering. Enough deaths, enough silence. He turns to face Sullivan. She's right, William. It's time we acknowledge what our families have done. Pierce's public admission breaks the dam. Over the next 3 hours, as the meeting devolves into an impromptu public hearing, other prominent citizens come forward with pieces of the truth, records preserved by guilty consciences, stories passed down through generations, evidence of the generations, evidence of the covenant's bloody requirements. By evening, Mayor Sullivan has resigned. 2 council members have been taken into custody for obstruction of justice related to previous disappearances, and Salem faces a reckoning with its most recent witch hunt. One conducted not against innocents, but by powerful men against vulnerable women for over a century. Outside the town hall, rain begins to fall, gentle at first, then increasing to a downpour that washes over the cobblestone streets. Vivian and I stand under the portico, watching reporters scramble to protect their equipment. Do you think they'll rest now? Vivian asks quietly. Marie and Celeste. As if in answer, the rain briefly forms a pattern on the steps before us, the unmistakable outline of a woman holding a child's hand. Then the water flows normally again, washing away into storm drains. I think they finally found justice, I say, and each other. Our book is published 6 months later, becoming an unexpected bestseller. The complete investigation leads to the resolution of 27 cold cases of missing women, dating back to the 1950s. Earlier disappearances are acknowledged, but remain officially unsolved due to lack of evidence. The site of the Blackwell Hotel is cleared and converted into a memorial garden, dedicated to the victims of the covenant. At its center stands a simple fountain, featuring a mother and child. A design I suggested, though I never explained to the committee why water feels like the appropriate element for remembrance. Vivian and I maintain a careful friendship, bonded by experiences few others could understand. She continues investigating similar patterns in other historic hotels across New England. I choose a different path, returning to my psychology background to counsel survivors of trauma. I've moved from Salem to Boston, seeking distance from the memories. My new apartment is modern, with no history or character. Exactly what I wanted. No creaking floors, no mysterious sounds, no rules to follow. Yet sometimes, in the moments between waking and sleeping, I hear the faint sound of knocking. 3 knocks, pause, 3 knocks, pause, and occasionally, My bathroom faucet turns on by itself just for a moment. Not a threat. A reminder. Some spirits never truly rest. And some rules exist for a reason. But the most important rule I've learned is this. Answer when the truth comes knocking, no matter how terrifying it might be. The alternative, silence, complicity, looking away, creates monsters far more dangerous than any ghost. Tonight, as I prepare for bed, I notice water pooling slightly around my bathroom drain, flowing inward, not outward, as if returning to some deeper source. I don't panic. Instead, I whisper a simple acknowledgement to the empty room. Rest well, Marie. Rest well, Celeste. Your story has been told. The water recedes. The pipes fall silent. For now, the Blackwell Hotel collapsed. But the Covenant lasted centuries. They made sacrifices. We broke the silence. Marie found her daughter. But justice has a long memory. If you're still here, you heard the knocking. If you listened to the end, you broke the fourth rule. Don't learn too much. Drop a comment. Which rule would have gotten you first? And remember to subscribe to Night Creepypasta Rules. See you next time, if you make it back.